Hey there, storytellers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be one to help you pick out some spooky movies to watch this spooky season. As you can see from the title, I am going to be giving you 3 autumn novels that have great adaptations. So my very first autumn novel that has a great adaptation is one you might have heard me talk about last night on my 5x5 review. If you did not, go ahead and click the card up there to take you to that video. But the book that I discussed having a good adaptation was in fact Dracula by Bram Stoker. Over the years, Dracula has gotten many adaptations, so the one I specifically referenced in yesterday's video and we'll be talking about today is the 1992 adaptation titled Bram Stoker's Dracula. As I mentioned yesterday, I really enjoyed this novel. I had some qualms about how the movie was adapted for sure. Mina is not as an empowered woman as she is in the book, which is something that I don't quite love about the movie, and Lucy's a little bit less of a 3D character and more of just a caricature that's on the side, as are a lot of the other characters, unfortunately. So while the movie does reduce the characters that are more main characters in the novel to less important characters in the film itself, it does actually concentrate a lot more on Dracula as a character. The undead Lord of the Night is given motivations to drive all of his actions in the 1992 film, and we get to know him and his background a little bit better and a little bit more personally because it's given to us by Dracula himself. To sort of help explain why he pursues Mina as forcefully as he does, for lack of a better word, the movie does invent a backstory to explain it, which is very fun. It's not a bad backstory by any means. It's romantic in that sort of bittersweet gothic way. It's not an exact adaptation of the novel. That being said, I do think a lot of the details are kept the same. They're explained well. They just sort of extrapolated as to why, why Dracula controls the wolf, why he can't go across water. They extrapolated and showed you more of that in the film than you get to see in the book, which, depending on your point of view in the story, it's better one way or another. They're both good. The film, like I said, gives you Dracula's perspective a little bit more, while the novel just sort of has him as a side character. Nevertheless, the adaptation is full of autumn vibes and definitely worth a watch this October. My next recommendation of sorts is another movie that I have already rewatched this spooky season and enjoyed just as much as I did the first time I saw it, and that is Horns by Joe Hill. Horns follows the story of Ig Parrish, who is under scrutiny in his entire small town after his girlfriend is murdered at the beginning of the novel. Through some divine providence, if you will, Ig is given horns one morning, and he finds he is suddenly able to manipulate certain things as well as sort of extract the truth from people against their will. Basically, the horns force the town to reveal there are a whole bunch of hypocrites and sinners, and Ig sort of sets to work not only righting some of the sins of the townsfolk, but going on the hunt to discover the true killer of his girlfriend. Without spoiling too much, I will say the novel sort of switches back and forth a little bit more. The film focuses entirely on Ig's point of view, while the novel also offers a little bit more background and point of view on the killer. The novel is very well written. It's a fun read. It's sort of sinfully delightful. It sort of forces you to take a hard look at your own guilty pleasures while these characters are being forced to look at theirs. I do think having the killer's perspective explored a little bit more in the novel helps explain what happened, but the movie does a really good job explaining it without that perspective anyway. Once the killer is revealed in the movie, you get that sort of quick recap of the motivations and why it happened. You just don't get as much detail, obviously, as you do in the novel. But if you're a fan of Daniel Radcliffe, I can wholeheartedly recommend the film adaptation. He plays Ig, so he is the main character, and I think he does a really great job playing a character who's good, but not sort of holier than thou good. He's a character who's got a little bit of bad. I actually think the entire cast did a really good job bringing the characters accurately to life as they are in the novel. It's one of the best adaptations of a novel that I've seen. Last but not least on my Autumn Reads adaptations recommendations list is a TV season adaptation, and that is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. You can see from the cover who the two main cast members are, as this is the sort of TV tie-in cover. So I had heard of Good Omens before the TV show was made, but I had not actually read it. And I knew the TV show was coming out. I knew David Tennant was going to be in it. Michael Sheen is our other main character. He plays the angel. But David Tennant I knew was going to play the demon. And I love David Tennant, and I knew I would love his interpretation of a demon. I saw the TV preview and I was like, I have to see this show. And I wanted to read the book before I watched the show. And actually I sort of ended up parrying them back and forth. Basically, I would get to a point in the book and then I would catch up to that point in the TV show, sort of getting ahead of myself only to catch up. But either way, that was a really fun way to see how well done the adaptation was, because it really felt like it included everything. It obviously helps that Neil Gaiman worked on the show. He kept his own adaptation very faithful to the story that was written, but it's a lot of fun. It's the story of a friendship between an angel and a demon, and they're coming to avert the end of the world. They're trying to thwart the Antichrist from becoming the Antichrist, and a whole lot of hilarity and craziness ensues as they try to keep it secret from their respective sides that they actually work together. It's really fun to see a take on a forbidden friendship that also happens to be centuries old, because the characters are just so rich, both in their own experiences but also within their history together. And unsurprisingly, I thought that David Tennant and Michael Sheen both acted their characters splendidly. They were obviously the main characters and they certainly stole the show. It almost was painful to watch scenes that didn't have them in it. Nevertheless, I thought I'd include a TV season adaptation on here. It's only one season. They get through the whole story in that one sort of capsule season. I thought I'd include that on there in case you wanted to devote yourself to some autumn fun, but maybe wanted to have something that was more spread out that you could enjoy. But that is it for my Autumn Reads adaptations recommendations. I gave you 3 really solid ones that I think stand up to their novels, almost word for word, scene for scene. It feels just as rich watching these adaptations as it does to read the books, any of which I can highly recommend. I enjoyed them all very, very much. If you'd like to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you should go ahead and click the subscribe button, and you should definitely ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat of Vlogoween. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!